Foundation Season 3 ends with one of the most dramatic turning points in the entire saga. Empires crumble, faith rises, and the future of humanity is pulled in directions no one could have predicted. But hidden in these final moments are clues that reshape everything we thought we knew about Seldon's plan, and about the destiny of mankind. The finale of Foundation Season 3 does not just close a chapter, it opens a wound across the galaxy. From the very beginning of the series, Seldon's Psychohistory has predicted the fall of the Galactic Empire. His numbers, his equations, his vision of inevitable decline are the spine of the story. But by the end of this season, the Empire is not just weakened. It is shattered, broken into fragments that no longer resemble the eternal dynasty it once claimed to be. The Cleons, once thought immortal through cloning, now stand exposed. What was once a symbol of perfect order becomes a reminder of how fragile power really is. The fall of Brother Day and the cracks within the genetic dynasty prove that even the most carefully engineered system cannot resist the tide of change. When the throne itself is in chaos, psychohistory is not just a theory anymore. It is reality crashing down on every world and every citizen. But while the empire crumbles, another power grows in silence. The Foundation, once a tiny colony on the edge of the galaxy, has transformed into a beacon of both knowledge and belief. The people no longer see Seldon only as a mathematician. They see him as a prophet. His predictions, his warnings, his appearance through the vault, all of these moments shape him into something larger than life. For ordinary citizens, he is no longer just a man. He is a figure of faith. This shift from science to religion is one of the most important moments in Season 3's ending. Because when faith enters the story, numbers are no longer the only weapon. Belief becomes just as powerful as calculation. At the same time, the second Foundation finally steps out of the shadows. Their existence, hinted at since Season 1, now becomes undeniable. They are not builders of cities or keepers of libraries. They are the unseen hands, shaping minds, guiding actions, twisting choices. If the first Foundation represents faith and the preservation of knowledge, the second Foundation represents control. Their methods are hidden, subtle, and almost terrifying. Where the Empire ruled with armies and fear, the second Foundation rules with thoughts and whispers. And in the finale, their presence suggests that Seldon's plan has always been more complex than anyone imagined. The ending places us in a galaxy torn between three forces: the ruins of the Empire, the rising faith of the first Foundation, and the secret manipulations of the second. This triangle of power creates a stage for chaos, but it also creates the possibility of a new order. The genius of the finale is how it balances collapse with hope. We see destruction everywhere, palaces burned, dynasties ended, and lives lost. But through that destruction, we also see the birth of something new. The final images leave us with a haunting truth. The Empire may have believed it would last forever. But nothing lasts forever. Not empires. Not dynasties. Not even the equations of Seldon. And yet, within that fall lies the seed of the future. The season ends not with answers, but with questions. And those questions are what pull us deeper into the next chapter of this epic saga. The closing episode of Foundation Season 3 is a storm of events, each one shaking the galaxy at its core. Let's walk through the most important ones, because each carries a hidden weight that shapes the future of the story. The first major moment is the fall of Empire's control. For centuries, the Cleons ruled with absolute authority. But by the finale, the throne is no longer secure. Brother Day's downfall, both personal and political, becomes the clearest sign that the dynasty is collapsing. His choices throughout the season lead to betrayal, rebellion, and the unraveling of the myth that the genetic dynasty was unbreakable. In the final battle sequences, we see not just the destruction of a ruler, but the symbolic death of the idea of eternal power. For the galaxy, it means the once unshakable center of civilization has lost its grip, and the spiral into chaos begins alongside this fall. We see Seldon's plan twisting in unexpected directions. Psychohistory was designed to predict the flow of large-scale human behavior. But what we see in Season 3 is that individuals still matter. Characters like Gall Dornick and Salvor Hardin prove that human choice, emotion, and sacrifice can bend even the most carefully calculated plan. In the finale, Hari's presence, whether through his physical self or his digital echoes, is tested. The message is clear: the math alone is not enough. People, with their messy decisions, still play a role in history. Then comes one of the most striking developments: the rise of the Church of Seldon. What began as a scientific colony on Terminus has transformed into a belief system that spreads like fire. In the finale, we see ordinary people bowing to the idea of Hari as a prophet, interpreting his appearances as miracles. This faith becomes a tool, but also a danger. On one hand, it unites scattered worlds under a single vision. On the other, it risks turning science into dogma. By the end, the Foundation is no longer only about preserving knowledge. It is about controlling belief. That shift adds a dangerous edge to the story because when faith rules, truth becomes whatever people are willing to follow. The episode also pulls the curtain back on the second Foundation. Up until now, their existence has been a whisper, but in the finale, they finally step forward. Their abilities, the power to shape thoughts and guide emotions, change the game completely. Unlike the first Foundation, which operates through technology and faith, the second Foundation manipulates people from within. Their arrival in the story shows that Hari Seldon's plan was not just about books, libraries, and settlements. It was also about guardians who could adjust the course of history if it began to drift too far. This revelation deepens the tension. While one group openly spreads belief, another group secretly edits reality, and let's not forget the personal sacrifices that close the season. The finale is not just political, it is deeply emotional. Characters we have followed since Season 1 face choices that cost them everything. Salvor's arc in particular reminds us that psychohistory might predict civilizations, but it does not erase personal tragedy. Her decisions, her bravery, and ultimately her fate bring the story down to a human level. Amid galactic battles and dynastic collapses, we are reminded that individuals still matter. By the time the credits roll, the galaxy stands in three parts: a shattered empire with no clear future, a first Foundation that has transformed into both a scientific hub and a religion, a second Foundation emerging as a hidden force, with powers that blur the line between guidance and manipulation. The finale's brilliance lies in how it ties these threads together. Each event is not isolated. Instead, they overlap like gears in a machine. The fall of the Cleons allows the Foundation's faith to rise. The growing faith of the Foundation pushes the second Foundation to reveal itself. And the second Foundation's influence forces us to question whether Hari's plan was ever about freedom or control. This is why the ending feels so heavy, so layered. It is not just the end of a season. It is the breaking of the galaxy into pieces, and at the same time, the beginning of a new kind of war, not fought only with weapons, but with ideas, faith, and even the human mind itself. The ending of Foundation Season 3 is not just about battles and betrayals. Beneath the surface, it is layered with themes and symbols that give the story its weight. Every fall, every choice, and every sacrifice is tied to something bigger. To understand the finale, we need to look at what these moments truly mean. The first and most powerful theme is the clash between psychohistory and free will. Hari Seldon's entire life is built on the idea that human history, when seen in large enough numbers, can be predicted. According to him, the galaxy's future is like a river. It can bend, but it cannot escape its course. And yet the finale shows cracks in this certainty. Gall and Salvor stand as living proof that individuals can still push against the current. Salvor's final choices, though small on the scale of empires, ripple through Hari's plan. This is not just a question of numbers. It's a question of humanity itself. The theme asks us, can destiny really be locked in equations, or is there always room for the unpredictable? Another theme woven into the finale is the collapse of centralized power. The empire, which once claimed eternal rule, now falls like every dynasty before it. The Cleons were designed to be identical, flawless, eternal rulers, but the finale shows how artificial perfection eventually breaks down. The idea of cloning, meant to keep power stable, instead becomes the very reason for its weakness. Here, the show reflects a larger truth. No matter how strong a system appears, time will always bring change. This collapse is not just about the empire. It is about the nature of history. Power always shifts, and nothing lasts forever. A third theme is faith versus knowledge. The first foundation began as a project to preserve human knowledge and shorten the Dark Age predicted after the empire's fall. But by the end of Season 3, it becomes clear that knowledge alone is not enough. People need belief. The Church of Seldon grows, not because of equations, but because of the promise of hope. Citizens across worlds bow not to math, but to a prophet. This is a striking symbol of how humanity often turns information into religion. A library becomes a temple. A mathematician becomes a messiah. The show is telling us that truth, in the hands of people, often becomes faith, and faith can be both a weapon and a shield. Then comes the second foundation, which represents a hidden layer of meaning. If the first foundation shows us what happens when science becomes religion, the second foundation shows us what happens when control becomes invisible. Their ability to manipulate minds is not just a power, it is a metaphor for influence in society. Just as empires in our world have shaped people with propaganda or ideology, the second foundation reshapes individuals without them even knowing. They are the shadow rulers, proof that control often hides in plain sight. This theme forces us to question whether freedom can truly exist when invisible forces guide our choices. The finale also carries the theme of cycles. Asimov's vision and the show's interpretation is built on the idea that history repeats. Empires rise, empires fall. Faith grows, faith fades. Knowledge is discovered, lost, and rediscovered again. In the finale, when the empire crumbles and the foundation rises, we see the beginning of another cycle. Collapse is not an end. It is a reset. And within that reset lies the chance to build something new. This cycle reminds us that even in destruction there is always rebirth. Symbolism plays a strong role as well. The vault itself is more than just a machine. It is a symbol of prophecy, a bridge between logic and faith. The clones of the Cleons are symbols of stagnation, showing how repetition without change leads to decay. Salver's sacrifice becomes a symbol of the human spirit, that even in the face of mathematical certainty, love and choice still matter. And Hari, appearing again and again through holograms or echoes, symbolizes the idea that ideas never truly die. Bodies can vanish, dynasties can collapse, but ideas, whether equations or prophecies, live on. Together, these themes create the heart of the finale. It is not just a story about galactic politics. It is a story about destiny and choice, about belief and truth, about power and its decay. Season 3's ending reminds us that the future is never just written in numbers or in faith alone. It is written in the tension between the two. That is why it feels both hopeful and terrifying. We see freedom, but also control. Collapse, but also rebirth. Darkness, but also light, and that duality, that constant balance between destruction and renewal, is what makes Foundation one of the most ambitious stories ever told on screen. Asterisk. The ending of Season 3 does more than close a story arc. It sets the stage for a storm that could shake the galaxy even harder in Season 4. The final images are not just conclusions. They are invitations. They whisper about futures not yet written, about wars not yet fought, and about choices not yet made. Let's explore what those unresolved threads may mean, and where the saga might go next. The most pressing question is the fate of Hari Seldon's plan. Psychohistory was designed to guide humanity through the chaos of collapse, leading them toward a second empire after 1,000 years. But Season 3 shows us cracks in that vision. The rise of faith, the unpredictability of individuals like Gal and Salver, and the manipulations of the second foundation all bend Hari's math in ways he may not have foreseen. In Season 4, we may see the plan tested more than ever. Can it survive without Hari himself steering it? Or has his plan grown beyond even his own control, becoming something that belongs to the galaxy itself? The question is no longer just, will the plan work? But who truly controls it now? The Empire's destruction also leaves a vacuum. Power abhors emptiness, and in Season 4, someone or something will try to fill it. The Cleonic dynasty is fractured beyond repair, but could a new ruler rise from its ashes? Will we see a return to old models of leadership with charismatic figures rallying planets to their cause? Or will the galaxy fragment permanently, each world fending for itself? Without the weight of the Empire, chaos could spread quickly. And chaos is exactly what psychohistory predicted, but it may not follow the neat timetable Hari envisioned. Season 4 could dive deep into this spiral, showing us how fragile civilization truly is when the center no longer holds. Meanwhile, the first foundation has reached a dangerous turning point. Once a humble project on the edge of nowhere, it is now a religious empire of its own. The Church of Seldon spreads belief faster than any army could conquer. In Season 4, we may see how this faith transforms into political power. Will leaders of the Church use Hari's name to justify wars or force obedience? Will faith fracture into rival sects, each interpreting Seldon's words differently? What began as a scientific mission could easily become a holy crusade. And that raises a chilling possibility. What happens when psychohistory itself becomes scripture, no longer questioned but worshipped? Then there is the second foundation, newly revealed and deeply unsettling. Their control over minds gives them unmatched power, but their true goals remain hidden. Are they protectors of Hari's vision, stepping in only when history strays too far? Or are they puppeteers, shaping events to suit their own agenda? Season 4 could pull us deeper into their shadows, showing how they influence leaders, believers, and even the remnants of empire without ever being seen. If Season 3 was about the collapse of visible power, Season 4 may be about the rise of invisible power. And that may be even more dangerous. Another mystery is the role of Gal Dornick. She stands at the center of Hari's plan, both as his student and as someone who constantly challenges his vision. Her choices, her doubts, and her leadership could reshape the path of both foundations. Will she embrace psychohistory fully, or will she forge a new path? One where human freedom stands above equations? And what of the sacrifice of Salvor Hardin? Will that loss harden Gal's resolve or break it? These personal struggles will carry as much weight as the battles of empires, because in foundation, history is always personal. Finally, Season 4 will likely explore the theme of rebirth. Season 3 was about collapse, dynasties falling, faith rising, and plans cracking under pressure. Season 4 could be about what rises in the ruins. Perhaps a new empire. Perhaps a war between foundations. Perhaps something completely unexpected. The seeds have already been planted. The galaxy has no center, only competing visions of the future. And whichever vision wins will define the fate of humanity for centuries. The beauty of foundations. Ending is that it leaves us standing at the edge of multiple possibilities. It does not tell us what will happen. It invites us to imagine. Will the galaxy be ruled by faith, by hidden manipulators, or by something entirely new? Will Hari Seldon's plan triumph, or will it be rewritten by those who dare to defy it? Season 4 promises not just answers, but bigger questions. And if Season 3 showed us collapse, then Season 4 may show us rebirth. A rebirth that could either save humanity or enslave it under a new kind of empire.